נעבור לדובר הבא שלנו הוא דוקטור אלכסיי אוגולנקו, הוא מתמטיקאי, תואר שלישי במתמטיקה. לאחר עלייתו לארץ ב-2018, מאז עלייתו ב-2018, הוא עובד במעבדה לגיאוסימולציה וניתוח מרחבי באוניברסיטת תל אביב. אלכסיי יציג לנו עבודה, אנחנו חוזרים מהרכב האוטונומי אל ימינו אנו, אל המרכזים העירוניים, הוא יציג לנו עבודה שתעשיר את ידיעותינו בנושא חיפוש החנייה והשפעתו על השימוש ברכב פרטי.
Okay, as sorry, I will switch to English. Yes, thank you for introduction. As you may notice, the title of presentation differs from the title you may find in the program. I think it's more catchy, and if you are interested in parking, you may find a paper with the exactly same title in Transportation Research B, with more details. Okay, so today we will present our comprehensive view on the on-street parking system through a series of models that describe the system over the entire spectrum of demand to supply ratio, from empty streets to overflowed state of the system. And I would like to start with a quote. I like this quote. The parking problem is not one very old one, but it's one of the most acute problems in all modern cities. There is perhaps not a city in the United States in which it's not one of the most serious problems. Not a single city has completely solved its parking problem. So, what year do you think this quote comes from? It sounds very modern, yes? But it comes actually from a report of Inno Foundation, year 1946. It was the second comprehensive report on parking actually ever in the world, and the first report on parking was authored by William Inno itself. This man is credited to almost everything first in traffic control, traffic cycle, stop sign, pedestrian crosswalks, pedestrian islands, almost everything. And I particularly like the fact that William Inno, just like me, never knew how to drive a car, so all his work was based on reasoning, observation, and a lot of traffic data, even in those days. So there is one problem, the problem, that we think everyone overlook while trying to model the parking system. How cruising time depends on parking occupancy when occupancy is high. This problem is critically important because first, people hate cruising, and cruising time strongly affects their mode choice and other decisions. Second, cruising for parking comprises a significant share of traffic on congested streets. According to literature, the share varies from 15 to 30%. And intuitively, when occupancy is low, everyone finds free spot quickly. So there is no cruising at all and no negative effects for general traffic. However, when occupancy is high, many models simply doesn't consider this as a real case. They say, parking system is overflowed, so search time becomes infinite. It's a violently unrealistic model, so not worth for study. And here the situation is similar to traffic jams. Remember, on the fundamental density flow diagram, there is a point when density on the road is so much high that traffic simply stops. Well, there is no such thing in reality. In reality, every traffic jam leaks even a little. People take more risk, drive densely or bypass the jam or even something else. So in traffic modeling, this is a very special and extreme case. But for parking, this overflow regime is a regular thing, and it's very important. Why so? Because different from the traffic jam, a driver is able to stop park and search when she's willing to. So we think that driver's persistence in cruising must become a parameter in a reasonable parking model. We thus have three major parameters. The rate of car arrivals, the parking time, and the willingness of drivers to continue their search for a vacant parking spot for some time. We follow queue notation from queue theory because it's quite natural to model on-street parking system as a service system where drivers are clients and parking area is a shared service. So, how the system works? Drivers arrive with a rate lambda to a parking area of finite capacity C parking spots. In other words, arrivals form a postponed process. In case there is a free spot, driver takes it formally immediately. In reality, it's not like that, obviously. Otherwise, driver starts cruising, looking for a free spot that became free after someone's departure. Formally, cruising drivers form a queue. And here we have an additional degree of freedom. In the model, queue discipline. That is, drivers may be provided with a free parking spot in a random order or first in, first out order or something else. Now, the most important part. Drivers are impatient beings. To reflect that, we introduce the rate alpha, at which they give up searching and leave the system angry and frustrated. In queue theory usually says that client reneges from the source. If the stars align perfectly, driver finds a spot, and after a while finishing her business, she departs and leaves the system completely. This means that the dwell time is exponentially distributed with the parameter mu. The exponential distribution of the dwell time and running time is a convenient starting point for the model, but it's not necessary for the results we obtain. Our model is very robust in this regard. And the model behavior is actually defined by a derived dimension as parameter rho, which is arrival to departure ratio per spot. It characterizes many properties of the parking system. So this schema O can be further formalized in different ways. We studied a simple deterministic model, stochastic queue model, and also performed a numerical simulation to confirm our conclusions. And the deterministic model is described by two variables: P, number of occupied parking spots at moment T, and Q, number of cruising cars. We relate P and Q using parameters of the system, C lambda mu alpha, and find the steady equilibrium state of this dynamic system. We also extend that the deterministic model for the arbitrary distribution of dwell and cruising time, accounting for the cruising age of a car. So a car has a history of cruising. By analogy to population dynamics models, we call it age structured model of parking. And our stochastic model is a Q model and describes the state of the system by state probabilities Pk. There are exactly k cars in the system, parked or cruising. We study this model constructing Kolmogorov equations, as usual with Q models, and finding stochastic equilibrium. So let us study the simplest discrete representation of parking. It's the simplest model we have and one of the most efficient ones. In case of low demand, rho is less than 1. There is no cruising cars at all. So in equilibrium, Q star is 0. Everyone finds its spot very quickly. In case of high demand, the dynamic depends on driver's persistence. All parking spots are always occupied, and so in equilibrium, P star is equals to maximum capacity C always. And the number of cruising cars consists of those who haven't given up yet in their search, plus arrivals overflow. It's clear how important are rates from this model. The more patient drivers are, the less are rates, and thus the queue grows. In case of zero alpha, system is overflowed with an infinite number of cruising cars, and this is a typical deadlock of the parking modeling approach I talked before. Assume now that we have a small parking area with 20 spots only, and average parking time here is 2 hours. When demand and supply are perfectly balanced, rho is equal 1. It corresponds to arrival rate lambda 1/6. This new car arrives on average every 6 minutes. The average reach time is another parameter we would like to investigate. So what will happen if drivers on average will be ready to search for a very short time, like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, or very long time, 20 minutes. Here we focus on 3 characteristics of the parking system: probability to find parking, average number of cruising time, and average cruising time itself. As you see, all these characteristics can be expressed quite simply from the basic parameters. Probability to find free spot declines hyperbolically as demand to supply ratio grows, as overflowed in system growth. The average cruising time hyperbolically grows, and at the same time queue length goes only linear. So in all these 3 cases, the rate of the growth is defined by parameter alpha. The more patient driver are, the longer are the queue, and the longer is cruising time. To feel the effects of parameters, a simple numeric example. So this is system you saw in the previous slide, small parking area, 20 spots. So if there is perfect balance, queue is empty and cruising time is 0, and probability to find the spot is 1. Everyone finds parking. If arrival rate is 1/4 after means, this new car arrives every 4 minutes. Rho is 1.5, and in this case there is an average only 1 cruising car. But probability to find a spot drops to 20%, 100%. And average cruising time is 3 minutes. When we increase the demand, rho is equal 4, so interval 1.5 minutes. Parking probability is only 3%, and cruising time is almost 7 minutes. And remember, alpha is 1/10, so on average, driver is willing to search a parking spot for only 10 minutes. And now, average cruising time is 7 minutes. Of course, queue lengths must be compared to the size of parking area, with its capacity, and in the last case, ratio is 0.25, which means that cruising cars comprise 25% of the overall traffic around the area. This estimate is in good agreement with real-world data. Remember, on average, we may have 15–30% of cruising cars on congested street. Let's look at the stochastic models output. In this case, we also have a model solution for basic characteristics, but expression for cruising time is too complicated and occupy more than one slide. However, expressions for blocking probability and queue length are simpler, and most important, you can see that they all are in perfect agreement with another models. The simple deterministic model, age-structured model, and also with numeric simulation. Most important for the real-world interpretation is sole dependency of basic characteristics of the parking system on on the arrival to departure ratio rho, because there is no abrupt change when rho passes this intuitive threshold of rho equals 1. Everything goes smoothly in this case. For the stochastic model, we can consider different Q disciplines, as I said before. Cyro, service and random order discipline. It directly repeats our intuitive view on parking search and parking itself, and all presented deterministic models follow Cyro discipline. Possible interpretation for the first in, first out order could be parking search of cars that join tail of platoon following the same cruising paths. That's in the area. In this case, indeed, the chance to park if you are in the head of this platoon is higher than was all before. And here, when we change Q discipline, we touch an important theoretical issue. Because queuing systems with pulse-on input has this amazing property of robustness in average characteristics regarding Q discipline. In other words, if you change 0 to FIFO or vice versa, the average cruising time in the system, the average number of cruising cars will remain the same. However, this is not true for higher moments, such as variance of cruising time. Basically, variance is a measure of uncertainty and has a great impact on drivers' behavior. So everyone will find support in 10 minutes, but if variance is high, it's very unclear if you will succeed in the parking search. It's very uncertain for drivers. As you can see, high values of rho, yes, high values of rho means that the fraction of cars that find parking in reasonably short time, in 5 minutes, remains substantial, non-zero for zero model, but for FIFO model, unrealistic model, it drops to 0 very quickly. And this again, zero Q case takes us closer to reality, even when the parking supply is very short or is very high. There is still a reasonable likely chance to find a spot in reality. And regretfully, many of us feel optimistic with this feature of the zero Q, and following this cognitive bias, we often overestimate our luck to find a spot in a dense area. So in the remaining short time, I will briefly review a couple of extensions of the basic models. First of all, here. First of all, we can illustrate model sensitivity to the parking area capacity C. Important result is that average cruising time remains almost the same, while parking area grows in size. Blocking probability shows more complicated dynamics, and in general, dependency on rho changes form from sigmoidal curve to more and more steep step function, which means that with the growth of capacity, with the growth of parking area, parking system becomes more deterministic and more gradual, less smooth. This is a critical step into the heterogeneous urban space. As you can see, it's not just some small area, it's a real city. So we let driver destination be built in B, so driver will cruise for parking in some neighborhood. Here you can see case of 3 buildings with their cruising neighborhoods around, but the same solution can be applied to any heterogeneous space. Areas of cruising overlap, this creates a complex landscape of lambdas of parking demand. But we can calculate and approximate parking system parameters at each particular point by combining this lambda for different destinations. Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Since I lack time, I will go directly to conclusions, and I strongly encourage you to find the paper if you want to know more details. So, here go conclusions. The state of the parking system with 6 spots, arrival rate lambda, departure rate mu is defined actually by the arrivals to departure ratio with the increase in rho. Parking system evolves from the state of immediate parking to cruising for parking. And there is no crisp boundary between these states. There is a smooth transition. In overflow case, when rho is much higher than 1, cruising time becomes an important indicator and a key to understanding drivers' reactions to urban policy and pricing and drivers' reactions, decisions themselves. Our models, all of them agree with the well-known Shaw's threshold of 85%, because probability to be fully occupied is essentially non-zero, starting from 0.7, 0.9 values of rho for large areas is when 85% of the street is occupied, parking spots are occupied, only then it starts to influence general traffic. And our models provides a solution for the heterogeneous urban space and can be used for predicting also long-term tendencies of the parking system. Of course, several important aspects of the parking remain beyond the scope of present models, and most of them are related to behavior of real-world drivers who differ in their aversion to the risk of parking failure, who employ complex search tactics, and so on. Yet, and this is takeaway knowledge, we have developed a simple, very simple model that reflects the nature of the on-street parking search and provides very robust estimates for the most important addressing parameter of drivers' cruising time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aleksey.